Okay, working more on our functions here. I inadvertently hit stop at the end of that last screen and didn't mean to. So we're going to continue here. As I just said a minute ago, we were comparing the y equals and the f of x equals. And so that's what this slide's speaking of. Function notation is where we have the f of x, and it's read as I just did, f of x. It's a notation that indicates the equation is a function. The first letter f could be any letter of the alphabet, but the x must be the same variable as the variable that's in our equation. And a note here, very common mistake, is f of x is not f times x. I know that's what it looks like, but that's not what it is. It's read f of x. Okay, so how do we evaluate functions? Functions are evaluated by substituting the values for the variable enclosed inside the parentheses of the function notation, f of x. So in other words, if they say f of x equals 2x minus 7, and then they say find f of 3. Now, all that means is you're going to take the 3 and replace it anywhere you see an x. And this over here, this stuff is just fluff. That doesn't mean anything to you. Remember, that's the same thing as y. So we're just going to recopy that, and then we're going to do this work. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 away, take away 7 is negative 1. So that's what they mean when they talk about evaluating functions. Okay, lastly, functions can be considered as mathematical process machines. In other words, you put something in, you get something out. So the something that we put in is going to be the x. So the x would be, not very good at this stuff, am I? The x would be the input. That's what we're putting into the equation or the function rule that they give us. And then the f of x or the y is going to be our output. That's our answer. So what we're going to do here is we've got x equals 1. So just like a second ago, we're going to replace every x we see with 1. And again, remember, this is just stuff. Don't worry about that. So 3 plus 1, so f of 1 equals 4, because 3 plus 1 is 3 and 3 plus 1 is 4. And then when we fill out the rest of the chart, we just repeat that same process. F of 2, 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1, so f of 2 is 7. F of 3, I'm going to substitute a 3 in here for the x inside the parenthesis. This part right here is 9 plus 1, so f of 3 is 10. F of 4, again, notice we're just replacing that x that's in the parenthesis with the number. This stuff here, 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1, so f of 4 is 13. And lastly, we're going to put a 5 in there, so 3 times 5 plus 1. This is 15 plus the 1 is 16. So sometimes you'll see the function, evaluating the functions as a chart like this, a T-chart or what have you. And then other times you'll see they'll come out here and they'll add another column out here and they'll write them as ordered pairs. So the x is 1, the y or the f of x is 4, and they just write them as ordered pairs like this. I don't have a preference. Whichever way you prefer, whichever way you think is easiest for you to use. Different situations may call for different things.